was a normal sort of day. Ian was at work. I had Duncan at school, and Philip was just a baby, really. I noticed Delia Smith was on, and I like her. And I was quite surprised to find that she wasn't talking about kukri at all, but about her faith as a Christian. I didn't know that she was a Christian. And just as I listened, I suddenly realised that she was talking about something that I didn't realise existed, you know, that anybody was able to feel the way she obviously did. And I started to cry. I said something like, you know, come on, God, if you're there, show me what you want from me, show me. And thought, this is ridiculous, you know, I'll have to go to the shops. And standing outside the middle school were two Salvation Army officers. You could have knocked me down with a feather, and I was thinking, I'll say hello. This was going through my mind as I went past, and I just quickly walked past them and didn't even look at them or anything. Immediately I was past them, I regretted it, you know, and thought, oh, that was the chance. You know, I should have spoken, that was the chance. I came straight in, got the telephone directory and looked up the Salvation Army and rang them.
At the time, I would say that I wasn't really that delighted. In fact, I didn't really understand what I thought she was sort of getting into. It went on for a while, and every time I sort of approached the subject and tried to get her going, knowing that I'd be able to sort of argue her down, all I got from her was affection, which I hated, to say the least.
Well, I'd been going to the meetings for quite a while, and I realised that what God wanted was for me to accept Jesus Christ. And in order to do that, I knew that it would mean a change in me. That I had to, in a sense, start off a new life, to start to live the way that God wanted me to. But Ian and I had never, in all our married life and since we'd met, we'd never made any major decisions without consulting one another.
Eventually, I decided that I would go along to one of the meetings and make sort of that hourly session the time that I would assess the situation and come out and tell her that she was wasting her time.
Many other things I cannot understand. All above me mystery I see.
Anyway, I went along to the meeting, and as I walked through the doors, I could feel a physical change, which I remember thinking at the time, I don't want this. I don't want any changes in Ian Kennedy. I want to go in here for an hour, come out and get back to normal. And I went in, went through the meeting, enjoyed it, never let on to anybody. Was so compelled, you know, and so sort of challenged by the meeting that I had to go back and continued to go back. Always with a sort of a sense of shame somewhere, like inside us, for sort of the initial reason that I'd gone along, to stop Christine going. But searching all the time and asking questions. And the more questions I asked, the more questions came up. But everybody was quite free in their witness to me and gave me answers that I wanted to hear. Gave true answers. Always spoke of this character, this Jesus man, you know, this God, like, that I began to sort of come to know and began to realise that God was speaking to me. That, you know, Jesus Christ was a man who'd done something for me.
Passing understanding is his boundless love.
There's an award in this area which I didn't know about. I didn't even know it was running in the first year of 1984, 85. And you know, as far as I go, I just go round my doors. I just go round the doors and sort of knock in the door and where sort of help is needed. So in I go and help. My wife said, somebody's been trying to get you, a Mr. Han. And he phoned me and he said, we've got an award for you, an award for service, for all the good works you do and the things you do. I said, look, I said, my service is free, my service is for God. If anything, I just want everlasting life. And he said, I knew you'd say that. He said, somebody warned me you'd say that. But he said, will you have it? Because the meeting's next week. And I just stood back and I said, oh, just a little voice inside me said, witness. And I just said, yes, I'll come. Because it'll be an opportunity to witness. Good, he said. That's what the officer said you'd say. You have to witness. If I supported Liverpool football team, then I would support them. And everybody would know who I supported. My service for God is a vital witness. You have to witness about the things you feel for. I feel for Jesus Christ. And the fact that he's a guy who gave me a chance in my life, well, I'm not going to let him down. I've always been a fighter, and even when I used to fight in the streets, I'd stand by anyone who was fighting with me. Six years ago, I was into horses in a big way, in as much as when I get enthusiastic about something, I'm either all for it or I'm all against it. So I used to come home from work and I'd say to my wife, okay, let's get the table empty and, you know, I can get on with the horses. And so my family would be in the lounge and I'd be in the other room studying my horses. I used to like a drink as well on a Saturday night. And if we had a drink, so I had a good drink, that sort of went on for about 3 years, I suppose. And studying the horses then sort of one night, for me, I didn't know who was speaking to me at that time, but I just heard a voice saying, what if you give me this time? Well, I believe that was the Lord speaking to me at that time, but I didn't realize that. I just shrugged it off, looked around, there was no one there, and I just got back into my horses and I got back into the newspapers.
That wayward Cape Shafir and well back as Poplar Square and towards the rear is Indiana Deer. Going past the judge, they have a lap of the course to complete.
So really things started moving from then on. And I decided to give up the drink. And my wife used to go to the Salvation Army. I still used to follow the horses then at that time. But my feeling started to change, I suppose. I was already helping out in the youth club at that time because I'd been asked to help out in the youth club on a Friday night. And yeah, okay, you know, I like snooker. You know, I like to run, I like a game of football, a game of darts and everything else. So really, I'd gone from an environment which I was used to socially with my friends into the same sort of environment, but all the drink had gone and numbers of other things had gone. And it was only young kids. But the kids used to ask me things as well, spiritual things. Because I didn't have spiritual answers, did I? You look so hanging up the black, yeah? I think you got me. I think you got me somewhere, yeah. I decided then to try to give up the horses because it was taking too much of my time. And I went to the Salvation Army on a special occasion visit, and there was a visiting army officer, and he said, just take one step for Christ. And I said, one step for Jesus Christ? Maybe, let's give it a go. I give it a go. And I started reading the Bible afresh. Yeah, let me tell you this. My father left home when I was 3. And he left my mum with 6 children. I don't look for an awful lot in youth club. I'm just there. If they need me, you know, then I'm there. And in their life, as mixed up as it is, then, so my life was mixed up. And I didn't really know what I was looking for or what I wanted in life. And he died a lonely man. Let me say this. I'm happily married, and I hope that they can just see that my father left home, but it's turned out all right. But I found my Father, and that's my Father God in heaven. And he's the one, he's my motive. I was looking for God, and I remember I came home one lunchtime, and I needed a friend. And I just opened the scripture and I read something that didn't make a lot of sense, and I just knelt down or laid down on the sofa, and I said, I just need you, God, in my life. And I just sobbed. And maybe that was the time in my life when Christ entered my life, because I needed someone to help. I went back to work and everything went well.
There's a passage in the Bible in John, something like, I came to give you life in order that you may have life, and life in all its fullness. And I believe that that is now what we have as a family, life in all its fullness.
It's made our life at home, it's made our family just something that's totally better. You know, we're quite a happy family, to say the least, you know. We do everything together now, discuss everything together in a much deeper way. And when I say that, I mean Christine, myself, and the two boys. As a family, it's made that much difference to us as well. I now wear a uniform, now a soldier within the Salvation Army, which is something that's a commitment to the Salvation Army. I already have made that commitment to Christ. Here, lads, can I try? Many thanks. There you go. Thanks again. That's good. Thanks again. Thanks very much. Good night, lads. Evening, you all right, mate? Walk right? Thanks very much. Excellent. Thanks now. I enjoy, and take that in the right sense, wearing that uniform. It's a silent witness in a lot of ways. It means that people can identify me and say, well, there is a Christian. But also, it offers situations where people will come and actually speak with you because you have a Salvation Army uniform on. And people bring all kinds of questions to you, all kinds of problems. And if, sort of by God's grace, I can help those people, well, so let it be there.
Thanks.
Right, thank you very
nice?
much.
That's great.
Have a nice night now.
That's good.
How are you tonight? Not bad.
Kate is a first-year medical student at Aberdeen University.
Yeah.
My first real contact with Kate, we stayed late into the night talking. And Kate then began to tell me a little of her experience when it was first diagnosed that she had serious cancer. And I think then that she thought that her life was going to be very, very short on this earth. I think because she has had cancer that this has given her a new dimension to life, in that she now can quickly realize the problems and complexities that other people go through.
Well, I don't think you can ever say that cancer is cured as such, because I think this kind of illness is something that we still don't know a lot about, and it's got to be kept under surveillance all the time. So I don't like the word cured. At the moment I'm well, today I'm well, and I hope I will be tomorrow. I think I learned that basically we've to use all the time that we've got and to use it to the best of our abilities. Also that you can't control your own life, that your life isn't in your own hands, that things happen that you have no awareness of, like illness. And I think you have to take your life and take it a day at a time and really pray to God. And now that I am a Christian, I do that for what He wants me to do rather than what I would like to do myself.
There are some folk who think that our Salvation Army Hall is something rather sacrosanct to Salvationists, but there's no way is that the case. For in the Army Hall, Salvationists and non-Salvationists meet every week. It is a church. It is a denomination. And just as I am a minister. What are we looking for in a Salvation Army officer? It must be, first of all, a person who is sure of their calling of God. They have been converted. They know Christ as a living reality in their own life. But there is this special something that the Lord puts his hand upon them and calls them into full-time service. So they must be sure of that. They will find themselves working many hours. They will find themselves engaged in activities when other people perhaps would be thinking in terms of socializing. For instance, on a Saturday night, many of them would find themselves week after week around the public houses with the war cry tucked under their arm, bringing the ministry to people. They are, of course, people who can be called upon to serve anywhere. We talk about saluting and going the way we should go. And so an officer could be moved from A to B with 4 weeks' notice. And the vast majority of us would salute and go because we believe that this is a Lord's appointing, not just that of the Salvation Army.
The Salvation Army wanted to start a program for the unemployed. Fortunately, there was a contact between headquarters and the Strathclyde Regional Council, and we discussed the possibility of doing a program together whereby something like 1,000 people would be employed going around visiting every house in Strathclyde region to advise people on the dangers of becoming too cold.
Right, come on, let's get out.
Basically, wherever we have Salvation Army halls, we use those as bases from which the interviewers go out to cover the whole district. Throughout Scotland, last year, between 3,000 and 5,000 people actually died from hypothermia-related illnesses. So it is a massive problem.
Strathclyde Regional Council and Salvation Army.
The response has been very good indeed, and I've been particularly impressed by the commitment of the interviewers who go around. They provide a pack giving details of insulation, what sort of clothes to wear, what sort of food to eat, what benefits they may be entitled to. Those are the sort of things provided to the people at risk. It's provided officers with a contact with the community that they may not have had before, both with the people at risk and also with the unemployed interviewers.
We believe as a Salvation Army, we best express ourselves when we are aggressive, when we speak clearly of the things we believe in a fighting terms. For let us face reality. There are still many evils, and there are still many things that have to be fought in this world. And so as an army, with our discipline, with our officers, with our sense of obedience and calling, the Salvation Army, the army concept perhaps fits into our way of worship and our way of service. We talk a great deal in the army about our fellowship. It is something very precious to us. I suppose the very fact that we have a uniform helps us to recognize one another. It is not a fellowship that excludes others, but is constantly welcoming others into it.
I told myself I've got to change, I've got to move along. I've got to leave the past behind. I've got to rearrange the time my life is based upon. I've got to organize my mind.
And our young folk, of course, are great at this particular activity because with their enthusiastic attitudes towards life and their love of the Lord, they're able to bring others into this fellowship. Very often, of course, they come into that fellowship in some of our large gatherings, such as the Royal Albert Hall and other events.
I came to London this weekend because I wanted to be with other Salvationist friends that I've met before, and I'd like to come back. But most of all, to share together in the fellowship, because I believe it strengthens us as Christian young people to realise that even though we're in Ireland and so small, that the Salvation Army is still thriving over here. Most of my spare time is spent going around different churches in the province, telling people about the Lord Jesus in the gift of poetry, because I believe it's a real talent that God has given to me. I may speak in tongues of men or of angels, but if I am without love, I am a sounding gong or a clanging cymbal. I may have the gift of prophecy and know every hidden truth. I may have faith strong enough to move mountains, but if I have no love, I am nothing. I may dole out all I possess, or even give my body to be burnt. But if I have no love, I am none the better. Love is patient, love is kind and envies no one. Love is never boastful, nor conceited, nor rude, never selfish, not quick to take offense. Love keeps no score of wrongs, does not gloat over other men's sins, but delights in the truth. There is nothing love cannot face. There is no limit to its faith, its hope, and its endurance.
The Salvation Army is a small denomination amongst the many large and powerful churches, but very influential, for there are those who regard the army as their place of worship, although they're not actually members. And so we would have quite substantial congregations right across the province. Religion and politics have become so much intertwined. We try to avoid the political aspect and simply express our Christianity not in a strong denominational way, but at the point of need where people are. And so Salvationists, while sometimes they might be made fun of, there's a deep respect for all that we represent and the message that we declare. There are situations where we would actually wear the uniform as a means of protection. It takes away suspicion. It immediately testifies to the public that we belong to an army that would express itself only in love and in compassion, because we believe that, of course, is the message of the gospel. I have been amazed at the way in which people who have suffered as a result of the Troubles, expressing forgiveness even to those who have been cruel and nasty to them. And it challenges me to do the same. Jesus on the cross forgave those that put him there. That's the message that I have to declare. And before I give it, I have to make sure that in my own heart and in my own life, I'm prepared to forgive even my enemies. Love is not easy. It's challenging, but it's tremendous, and it's the only message.
Songs of praises
every morning I wake up and I just feel this sense of peace, this sense of happiness, just sheer contentment.
I'm not saying that I'm on sort of top door, as it were, all the time. There are times when I can be as down as the next man. But the joy is being able to pray about that and to take any problem, doesn't matter what it is, to God in prayer, and by laying sort of your problems in front of God and talking them through with God, that peace is restored in a greater way again.
The quality of my life is richer. My life. My relationship, my feeling is all or nothing, and at this moment in time I am all for God. So I wake up in the morning and I say, right God, here it is, another day. Thank you very much, let's get on with it.